I've spent the last couple days combing through the bottom of the draft, looking for some sleepers on day 3 that I think could be contributors. We're not talking about superstar athletes here. What defines success when you get to the later rounds isn't Pro Bowls or All Pros. It's just sticking around and maybe making it to a second contract. I think that these 3 players that I'm about to detail can do that. I think that these guys will be, if not superstars, useful spot starters or good backups, rotational guys. I'm very confident these 3 have the tools to make that happen in their careers. So with that being said, let's take a look at the 3 guys I've picked. The first sleeper I want to talk about is Kentucky running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. He is the 219th ranked player on the Pro Football Network mock draft tool. At face value, that puts him as a early 7th round pick. The numbers are pretty good for Rodriguez Jr. He has been the leading rusher at Kentucky for 3 straight years now. He had a monster 2021 that he couldn't quite replicate in 2022. He was suspended for a couple games after he got a DUI, which is something to keep in mind. I'm sure it's baked into the reason that he is mocked so low a lot of the time. He's very good at creating his own yards. Let's take a look at yards after contact per attempt this season. He is up there with the top running backs in this class. Only Spears and Robinson are above him. He clears Carbonet, Gibbs, A-Chain, and he's doing this in the SEC. His missed tackles forced per attempt is at 27.4%. That's the second best of this group. He is very difficult to bring down. Now, he's going to be 23 years old early this season, which is an older prospect, but it's not as old as a lot of the guys in this class after the COVID year kind of messed everything up. Here are his testing numbers. They ended up being fine. I don't see any disqualifiers with him. He passes production thresholds, size thresholds. He's a decent athlete. The character concerns will be interesting. Obviously, he has the DUI, which is a dangerous and terrible mistake, obviously, but hopefully something he can learn from. He was a 2-time team captain at Kentucky, so I'd imagine teams are still willing to take a shot on him. I think everyone will be considering him. So with that being said, let's get into the tape. He wears number 24 for Marshawn Lynch. That's kind of his idol, I guess, and he plays like Marshawn Lynch. Here you see him cut, run through that A gap. 13 here is going to fill it and try to make a tackle. 13 tries to go low, but he doesn't wrap up, and Rodriguez Jr. just runs him over and keeps going. And this is a very common theme with him. He is just a hassle to bring down. Here, Kentucky is running power, so you've got the guard pulling and the fullback blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage. First, Rodriguez Jr. is pushing straight ahead, making sure these linebackers get sucked up to the middle of the field. Then he cuts out, follows his guard, and then is able to push the pile, keep his legs moving, and dive into the end zone. On so many of his runs, his contact balance stands out, and his leg drive to always push the pile forward and pick up a couple extra yards at the end of almost every run. On this play, the 5 tech is going to spike inside and create some penetration. Rodriguez Jr. has some nifty footwork here to avoid him and then set upfield again. He meets a guy in the hole and just runs him over easily, keeps going, falls forward. He's got some craftiness in the backfield. On this play, Kentucky is running duo. This nose tackle is going to tilt and clog up that A gap right there. So he bounces this thing outside. There is an unblocked defender there, and you can see him set him up, and then in a very confined space, cut laterally, survive the ankle tackle, recover, and pick up a good 6, 7, 8 more yards. On this play, his aiming point is towards this play side A gap, and 94 is in the way here. You could see him survive the double team. Now he's looking that way, ready to clog it up. But there's a quick little shimmy by Rodriguez Jr. here, right there, where it looks like maybe he's going to cut backside. 94 respects that. He tilts the other way. Now there's leverage here, a little bit of a lane, and he just sneaks right through. Not a huge game, but better than it was going to be because of that little move he puts on in that backfield. It tricks 94. Here's a better example of this. Number 6 is going to live in this C gap. As this zone run is developing, he has taken it away. So Rodriguez Jr. acts like he's cutting back with that step right there. 6 peels off, leaves this gap to make a play where he thinks the running back is going to be, but it was just a move to set him up. One quick step, there it is, gets 6 out of there, hits where he just left, runs through arm tackles, bowls a guy over, falls forward. So there's just enough mix of power and vision for me to get excited about this guy in the later rounds on day 3. He's probably not explosive enough to be a team's long-term starter, but if he had to start a game in the NFL, I think he could keep the chains moving and put up decent yards on the ground. I really do. Even though he was consistently good in college, he did not have many long breakaway runs. Here, the C kind of parts for him, but watch how easily 3 is able to make up this ground and make the tackle. Still a good run from him, but he just doesn't quite have the long speed or explosiveness to be a consistent big play hitter. Certainly part of the reason that he breaks so many tackles is because he is inviting a lot of contact. He doesn't have the speed to win around the edge and get to the end zone untouched. It's annoying to bring him down. It probably hurts a lot, but it is easier to bring him down eventually than it is for some of the other guys in this class, which is why he'll probably be a day 3 pick. But he's a talented runner for sure, and definitely someone I could see having a longer career than a lot of the day 3 picks out there. The next prospects I'm going to look at is BYU's wide receiver Puka Nacua. He is the 210th prospect ranked on the Pro Football Network big board, which puts him, again, early 7th round, late 6th round, something like that. I'm combing through his stats right now, and I just now realized he has the highest PFF grade of all the wide receivers in this class. So take from that what you will. If you want a stat that's a bit more material, he has the second best yards per route run of the class behind Trey Shropshire. This play is a pretty good encapsulation of who he is. He's lined up in the slot. He's going to run an out route. And I'd like to see a bit more separation here. Number 4 is able to trail him, and he's right in his hip pocket. I'd like to see maybe a bit more of a severe move to sell this towards the post, move 4 out of position, and then burst outside. It doesn't really happen, but he is pretty smooth. He has a step on him, and he makes a great catch. And the end zone angle really shows how good of a catch this really is. Routine, but important to see. He's able to rise up, attack this football behind him just a little bit, reaches out, makes a confident hand catch, and then rips it away to make sure that that defensive back has no chance of making a play. Gets both feet in bounds. Pretty routine play, but it just shows some nice body control and confident catching ability. That one was pretty easy, but you can see how that kind of technique helps him out in more difficult situations. Here, he's trying to catch a fade and scores a touchdown because he's able to locate that football, track it, rise up, high point it, reach behind him just a bit, grab this thing with soft hands, and then immediately he's able to twist his body and protect that thing from the outstretched hands of this defensive back. It's not only the catch, it's the ability to protect the football afterwards, get both feet down, his whole body down. Hold on to that thing, big touchdown. Going back to the Boise State game, he's at the top of the screen here. He's going to run a post corner and get open. He's not a very explosive athlete, I would say. He's smooth, though. So he knows where he is in relation to the sideline. He kind of throttles down, gives himself some extra room to make this catch, sizes this thing up, makes it. Here's the outstretched arm of the defensive back. He's got control of the football and then kind of lifts it up a little bit just to keep it out of harm's way. He's aware of where the sideline is, gets both feet down. Again, great tracking, body control, awareness of where he is in relation to the sideline, and makes the catch. Very reliable guy. Even on a little screen pass like this, his body control flashes. This is too far behind him, but he kind of pirouettes in the air, nabs this thing facing his own end zone, hits the ground, transitions to a runner pretty quickly, and it's just little things like this that are going to give a quarterback a lot of faith in him early, and I think gives him a great chance to stick around. This is a clip from before he transferred to BYU when he was still at Washington, but he's a good security blanket over the middle of the field. He does not fear getting popped by a robber or something like that. In slow motion here, makes the catch, tucks the ball away, braces himself, eats the hit, holds on. Going back to the Boise State game, looking at the bottom of the screen, and once again, this is a very tough catch over the middle of the field here. This guy is close, ready to deliver a blow. He still rises up, makes the catch, picks up the first down. Again, maybe you'd like to see a little bit more snappiness getting into this break here, or out of this break, I guess. It doesn't happen, but he's still reliable. He doesn't have great separation ability versus man, but he is pretty crafty. He's smart. He knows when to throttle down, when it's zone, and get himself open. He's got some juice after the catch as well. He's not small. He's like 6'1", 200 pounds. Difficult to bring down. He's not super athletic, but he's smooth. And a lot of the reason that his yards per route run is so high is because they love to give him the ball on these touch passes, jet sweeps, end arounds, screens, things like that, because he can make things happen with the ball in his hands. Overall, I definitely think he has what it takes to be a competent piece in a receiving core. My concern would be NFL defense calls man coverage. He's out there. Is he going to be able to shake the guy? He kind of disappointed at the combine, didn't blow anybody away with his testing numbers, and on tape, it's not like he's torching anybody. The other big issue with him, and Dane Brugler pointed this out when he wrote up Nacua, is health. In his time at BYU, he has missed 5 games with a broken foot. He missed a game with an injury in 2021. He missed 4 games this past season with a right ankle injury, with a hamstring injury, and then he couldn't work out at the combine because he hurt his right toe. This guy is banged up often, and if he gets hurt in training camp as a day 3 pick, maybe his career never even gets off the ground. It's a legitimate worry. And then the last guy I want to talk about is a defensive lineman from San Jose State by the name of Viliami Fehoko. Fehoko is the 244th ranked player on the Pro Football Network big board mock draft tool. Fehoko did not play top competition in the Mountain West, but you can't say he didn't take advantage of it. He was super productive. He lived in the backfield. He had 19 tackles for loss this past season. He had 11 sacks. He totaled 51 pressures. He's got a very interesting body type. He is an edge rusher, but he's built more like a interior defensive lineman. He's kind of a tweener. Is this guy going to be an edge rusher? Is he going to be like a 3-tech? He didn't test very well when you run his numbers as a defensive end. Who knows if the league will find a natural place for him. What I do know is the dude is a very good football player with lots of ways to win and get to the quarterback. He's very coordinated. He's going to be rushing off the right side of the screen here, and when 63 goes to punch, Fehoko is able to grab both of his wrists, lift upwards, keep his frame clean, and then rip around the edge, move the quarterback off of his spot, and he's tackled for a very short game. There are some edge rushers getting drafted very, very highly in this draft who do not have the hand-fighting aspect of the position down like Fehoko does. He's someone who frequently swims over offensive tackles to win instantly after the snap. When you look at him, he doesn't really seem like someone who's going to be able to win around the edge outside, and he's not great at it. It's not going to be the way he's very successful in the league, but you do have to respect it a little bit. Here he's lined head up over the tackle, and he starts by taking a step inside right here. Tackle stays right where he is. He's not getting any depth, and then Fehoko swipes the hands away, rips, dips the shoulder, and flattens out to the quarterback, and ends up forcing a fumble here. It's just a little bit more bend than you'd expect for someone 270 pounds coming out of the Mountain West. But obviously, he's not someone with elite bend who could, like, turn this corner at a super severe angle. And then in obvious passing situations, I think you could kick him inside, put him over a guard, not worry so much that he'd be undersized in there, and see what kind of pressure you can get with someone with a little bit more edge burning capability alongside of him. You know, maybe he's never good enough at any one thing to make the jump from the Mountain West to the NFL, but you get someone this big and this versatile with a good array of pass rushing moves, you can move him over any lineman and see what he can do. I think that his pressure numbers will end up being all right in the NFL. I think he's got what it takes. So those are the 3 guys that I think will make very good depth pieces at the next level as soon as day 3 as the draft starts. It's round 4. those are the guys I'm looking for. They don't have crazy high athletic ceilings. They're not really boom or bust. They're just going to be solid, in my opinion, which is kind of a boring video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I'll be back next week with who knows what else. I'll see you then. Thank you for watching.